Hello everybody and welcome back to midwesthockey.info, the junior show. This is my third show. Today I'm doing it alone. My colleague Trent is unavailable today. He'll be back for the next show as we really are now into the closing days before the start of the 2015-16 regular season. I have some notes on a couple of events and some updates and things like that from some of the junior leagues. Staying with the international flavor, at least for this episode, with a couple of events that took place just in the last week. The first one, I think we spoke a little bit about it last time, is the renewing of the rivalry between the USA select ladies or women's teams and Team Canada. They met for a couple of best of three events, or actually not best of three because there was 3 games no matter what happened. They were in Lake Placid. It was a 3-game series between the U18 teams and the U22 teams. And as is typical when these two teams meet, the games were very close. Both the U18 and the U22 were knotted at 1 game apiece heading to the third and final game. And in the case of the U22 series, Game 3 was won by the USA in overtime. So you can't get much closer than that. The U18 team split its first 2 games and unfortunately dropped a 5-2 decision in Game 3. So Canada went away with 2 out of 3 in the U18 series. USA took 2 out of 3 in the U22 series. I'll look at it a little bit closer now. I don't want to waste too much time on it, but it was interesting. I'm going to start with the U18 3-game set, which began last Thursday with Game 1 at Lake Placid. Canada took that one 3-2. 3-2 edge for Canada in that one. Scoring for the U.S. was Rebecca Gilmore, a 98 from Wayland, Massachusetts. Excuse me, a 5'6", 155 forward from Wayland, Massachusetts, who last season played for the East Coast Wizards. The other U.S. goal in that game scored by Natalie Snodgrass from Eagan, Minnesota. She played for Eastview High School last season, and she is a 5'6", 155 forward. So that's the 2 goals. Sydney Brott, I hope I pronounced that right, from North Oaks, Minnesota, had one of the assists. And Valerie Turgeon from Denver, Colorado, had an assist in that as well. While Beth Larkham, the goaltender, who hails from Middletown, Rhode Island, made 15 out of 18, stopped 15 of 18 in the game. So Canada took the upper hand in that series. The following day, USA stormed back with a 2-0 shutout win. Goals in that game came from Taylor Went from Plymouth, Minnesota, a 5'8", 130 forward who last season attended Maple Grove High School, and Presley Norby, another Minnesota native who hails from Shorewood, Minnesota, and last season went to Minnetonka High School. So a couple of Minnesota players coming through with the goals in that one, while Alex Goldstein looked after the goaltending. An American who actually hails from Vancouver, BC. She stopped 10 out of 10 shots in that game, all 10. So she got the shutout in a game that saw the USA hold a fairly sizable shots edge of 28-10. So that evened things up, and unfortunately in the end it didn't work out for the USA. even with Canada 2-2 after the first period in the finale played on the weekend. Canada scored what turned out to be the game-winning goal in the second, then added 2 more in the third period to take the series. First goal on that one was scored by Alex Woken from Fargo, North Dakota. She's a 5'8", 150 forward who last year attended Shattuck St. Mary's, which is in Faribault, Minnesota. So a little bit of a Minnesota connection there, and also hails from Fargo, North Dakota. She scored on a penalty shot and had the other American goal, her second of the 3-game series. So let's move on quickly to the U22 series. And this was a great series with, like I said, coming down to really the last shot before it was settled. USA made a habit of coming from behind in this series a little bit. In the opening game, they trailed 1-0 after period, went on to win the game 4-1 with 2 goals in the second, 2 goals in the third. So they opened with a 4-1 win, and that ended up being the most lopsided game of the 3-game set. Canada coming back in the second game with a 2-1 win. That was on Friday. Came back with a 2-1 win in the second game. The game winner scored in the last couple minutes after USA had tied the game. Looked like they had sent it to overtime, but another late goal for Canada gave them the 2-1 edge in that one. Then on the finale on Saturday, USA ended up taking a 2-1 win in overtime, both teams scoring once in the first period, then never again until the overtime period when Hannah Brandt scored her second. She actually got both goals in that game. Hannah Brandt, a 93 from Vadnais Heights, Minnesota, a 5'6", 150 forward, had both goals in the game. One of them was assisted by Plymouth, Minnesota's Danny Cameronesi. So a little bit of a Minnesota connection in that one. In the first game, the 4 goals for Team USA came from Dana Trevino, and she is a 5'4", 135 forward from Setauket, New York. Hannah Brandt with her first of 3 goals in the series, so she was the leading scorer in the series. The third goal for Team USA in that one came from Haley Skarupa, Rockville, Maryland native. She's 5'6", 140 forward. And Sydney Daniels with the other. She's from Southwick, Massachusetts, 5'8", 160. The lone goal in the middle game, the 2-1 win for Canada, was a third period goal, like I said, late in the game, by Sydney Baldwin from Albany, New York. She scored the lone goal in that one. So a nice little split between the teams. 3 wins for Canada, 3 wins for the USA. The rivalry continues. This is just going to get more and more heated. They, I believe, will meet again in November when they have the 4 Nations tournament, which I believe has Sweden and Finland in it as well. So 4 Nations tournament, look for that in November sometime. Now let's move on to the USHL, which has the Chicago Steel also involved in an international tournament at this time. They are playing in the World Club Championship, representing the USA as chosen by the USHL. They're in an 8-team tournament playing in a pool of 4 teams. They've played twice, and they've already clinched a spot in the medal round. So congratulations to the Chicago Steel, who opened up the tournament with a 3-0 shutout win over, I'm going to get killed on this because I don't know exactly how to pronounce it, but it looks like Snezhny Barsi. That's a team from Kazakhstan. Steel opening with a 3-0 win there. The highlights saw Max Zimmer and Charlie Wraith both picking up a goal and assist in that game. Zimmer is a 97, 5'11", 185 from Medina, Minnesota, while Wraith is 5'10", 150, a 97 from Winnetka, Illinois. The other goal in that game was scored by Jake Jeremko, 5'11", 172, a 96 from Nowthen, Minnesota. Nowthen, Minnesota. Kind of a funny town name, Nowthen. I kind of like that. Tanner Lachinsky also had an assist in the game, a 6', 174, 97 from Shorewood, Illinois. So the USHL representing the Steel, representing the USHL, opened with the 3-0 win. At the same time, other games in their pool saw the Avto Russia team beating HC Riga from Latvia 3-1. In the opposite pool, TPS Turku from Finland beat Dynamo Bobrusk 4-3, and Djurgardens broke a 4-4 tie late in their game to down Cheka, the other Russian team, 6-4. And I apologize, I'm pretty sure I'm probably not pronouncing these European team names well, but I'm not up on the European junior hockey scene as much as I should be. Now, just this morning, the Steel went to 2-0 with a 3-2 win against HC Riga. That's the Latvian team. Steel held a 2-1 lead after a period, and after a scoreless second period, both teams added one in the third. A late goal in that one by Zimmer put it away for the Steel, who moved to 2-0 and clinched a berth in the medal rounds. The other goals in that one, Ryan Blankmeyer, a 96 from Oak Park, Illinois. He's 5'11", 148. And Brandon Duhane, a 97 from Parkland, Florida. He actually got the late goal, He got the late goal with 5:09 to go. He's a 97 from Parkland, Florida, 6', 185. Zimmer, who scored yesterday, also scored today. Avto will be the other team advancing out of this pool as they beat the Snezhny Barsi team 2-1 in overtime. The Steel goes in with a 1-point edge on Avto in the standings as they won in regulation. And they will play Thursday to decide who will be the top seed in their pool. The other two teams are doomed to play for positions. So that wraps that up. I do have a little bit more on the USHL. I did find some scrimmage results. The Madison Capitals apparently got together with the Waterloo Blackhawks this past weekend, played a couple of what they're calling tryout games. What I have is on Friday, they played a split squad game, and I believe one of them was in Madison, the other one in Waterloo. Then on Saturday, they played again in Madison, unless I'm missing something. Both teams won, both teams won one game on Friday in enemy territory. Waterloo took a 4-2 win at Cap Ice in Middleton, and Madison took the 4-1 win at Young Arena in Waterloo. Then on Saturday, just a goaltender's nightmare, Madison taking an 8-7 win in a shootout. Just goals galore in that one. We'll go through this as quickly as I can. I unfortunately don't have a lot on the Waterloo scoring, but I do have some numbers for Madison. In the 4-2 loss at Waterloo, Eric Shaw, a 96 forward from Concord, Massachusetts, had one of the goals. He last year played 10 games and scored one goal with the Capitals, and also attended Middlesex School in Massachusetts, where he picked up 19 points in 20 games. The other goal was from a hometown kid, Anthony Callan, right from Middleton, a 98, who last season played with the Capitals U16 team. He scored the other goal for Madison in that one. In the game in Waterloo, we have goals by Joey Kubachka, a 98 from Philadelphia. He last year played AAA with the Junior Flyers, picking up 9 points, 4 goals, 5 assists, and 28 games played. And he did suit up for one game with the Capitals last season. One of the other goals was scored by Ryan Lohan, a 96 from Chadds Ford, Pennsylvania. He's a forward. Last year scored 26 points in 60 games with the Capitals. So a returning player there. And Lohan. And Garrett Klee, a 98 from Morrison, Colorado, who last year played with the AAA Colorado Thunderbirds. He had 5 points in 24 games last year, scored one of the goals there. And Alexandre Payasov, a 97 from LaSalle, Quebec, had the other goal. He last year played for the Sioux City Musketeers. He had 47 games there. He picked up 10 points, 3 goals, 7 assists, and then played in 3 more games in the postseason. That set up Saturday's wild one. Waterloo actually, taking a 4-2 lead out of the first period at Cap Ice in Middleton, only to have the Capitals storm back with 4 straight in the second period before a late goal made it a 6-5 game heading to the third period. Waterloo scored twice in the third, with Madison getting the other, and it ended up going to a shootout. We had a couple of 2-goal scorers in that game. Alec Brotzman, a 97 from Hudson, Wisconsin. Last year attended St. Thomas Academy and played for Team Wisconsin, had 2 goals. As did Lohan, he scored 2 goals. And Sam McCormick, a 97 from De Pere, Wisconsin. He last year played he played all 60 games with the Capitals last year, picking up 31 points, 15 goals, 16 assists. And the other goal, another nearby player, 95 from Sauk City, Luke McElhenney. He last season played 57 games with the Capitals and picked up 13 points, 7 goals, 6 assists. So Lohan, McCormick, and Brotzman all took a turn in the shootout. All 3 scored, and Madison took the edge with a 3-2 edge in the shootout to take that win. So unofficial scrimmage games, I guess, if you want to call them that. I don't believe these are official preseason matches, but they're just giving the teams a chance to get out and play some competition rather than just sticking against each other. Here's some news from the other junior leagues. Not so great news from the USPHL. The 22-team league is now unfortunately down to 18. Now there's been nothing official on this, but it looks like 4 teams, the Ironwood Fighting Yoopers, Minnesota Owls, Sioux Firehawks, and St. Louis Storm, are all going to go to the sidelines before the start of the season. There's been some speculation that there may be more from other leagues that are unable to start the season. You know, the battle to try to get a full roster in time for the season can be difficult. So time will tell on that. I do believe that's going to have an effect on the USPHL schedule, which, as we speak, I believe is being reworked. The NA3HL looks like they still have all their teams for now. 34-team league will be the first junior league, as far as I know, to begin play. September 5th. That's a weekend before, you know, most of the other leagues are getting involved. Worcester, one of the Minnesota Junior Hockey League teams that moved into the NA3, will begin its new life in that league at Southern Tier, while Cincinnati Thunder will be at Pittsburgh. Cincinnati will play a second game the following night. That's it for that opening weekend, but just interesting that that's going to be the first team to kind of blast off on its season. The NAHL, no news really other than they'll be opening their season on September 11th, same as most of the other junior leagues. The first Midwest team to be involved will be Topeka Roadrunners, who play host to the Wichita Falls team. And just keep in mind that the always exciting Schwann Super Rinks Showcase Tournament at Blaine, Minnesota will be September 23rd to 26th. A little bit later than normal. I think it's one weekend later than usual. So most teams should have a game or two under their belt by the time they start that series. Or it's a tournament at the Schwann Super Rinks, a beautiful facility in Blaine, and every team in the league will play 4 times over the course of 4 days. So that's a great way to start the season, and obviously popular for scouts and things like that. The OHL exhibition games, the Ontario Hockey League will kick off its exhibition games on September 4th. One of the 4 games that night will see Flint at Saginaw. So the 2 Midwest teams will go head-to-head to open their preseason. The Flint team at the Saginaw Spirit on September 4th. That's the first game. And again, that's just an exhibition game, but that's when they're getting started. The SIJHL, Superior International Junior Hockey League, has one Midwest team, the Minnesota Iron Rangers. They'll open their regular season September 18th at English River against the Miners. That's in northwestern Ontario. Their first home game will be a week later when the Thunder Bay North Stars pay a visit. So that's all I have for now. By the time we do another show, we will probably have games under our belt, some specific games to talk about in the various junior leagues, be they exhibition or regular season. Hopefully get an interview or two along the way. And I think probably later this week we will try to do another pro version of the show, but there's still plenty of time for that. The pro leagues won't be starting their season until early to mid-October, so we're good to go on that. But welcome back to hockey season, folks. We're just days away from the start. They're going to drop the puck, and away we go. So thanks for joining me today. I'm going to try to get as much information as I can for my next show, which will be within the next week or so. Thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.